milk and honey land, where hate's a dream and love forever stands. Was this a vision in my mind? The law was never passed, but somehow all men feel they're truly free at last. Have we really gone this far in space and time? Or is this a vision in my mind? I'm not one who makes believe. I know that leaves are green. They only turn to brown when autumn comes around. I know just what I say. Today's not yesterday, and all things have an ending. But what I'd like to know is, could a place like this exist so beautiful? Or do I have to take my wings and fly away to the vision in my mind? I'm not one who makes believe. I know that leaves are green. They only turn to brown when autumn comes around. I know just what I say. Today's not yesterday, and all things have an ending. But what I'd like to know is, could a place like this exist so beautiful? Or do I have to take my wings and fly away to the vision in my mind?
Okay, well, that's it. Thank you for coming. We are grateful to have Linda Alvarez, Michael Saucier, and Severin Benin giving us our musical worship today. And there's more to come, yay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tracy Blender. I'm your worship associate today. I welcome you to this beautiful place on top of this beautiful hill in this beautiful state, in this beautiful country, regardless of November. The first Tuesday in November, we shall overcome. This is an opportunity to be together in community, and this community is one that shines and thrives. If this is your first time here, I'm betting you feel it. If it's been a long time since you've been here, I bet you forgot a little about it. And if you come here often, you relish in it. We are here to share in times of joy, comfort, challenges. This Unitarian Universalist congregation is a place where we come to learn more about being human, more about being the humans we want to be. We're on a journey to be open, accepting, a tolerant congregation who honors the inherent worth and dignity of all who enter here and those we have yet to meet. We're not here because we've figured out life's questions or because we think we've got it right. We're here to honor the journey and support each other as we travel it. We are also here to learn how to be in better relationship together because we become stronger when we are together, how to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, and how to create trust and compassion in ourselves and one another. If you are a first-time visitor, we welcome you and we invite you to stay for lunch on us. If you are not a first-time visitor, we have a lunch where we all sit down together and enjoy our food ministries gifts for $5 a plate, a steal of a deal. Your children are most welcome to join into the moment for all ages early on in the service and follow the rest of the children out for religious education. Younger kiddos can attend childcare, which begins prior to the service. And now for a couple of announcements. One, thank you to those of you who have signed up to bring flowers for our Sunday services. That sign up is on the door to the office. And today we have been gifted with this lovely flower arrangement from Linda Vergy. Thank you, Linda. Our Social Justice Committee, Strong and Thriving, is putting on Saturday, November 9th, from 9:30 to 12. Saturday, November 9th, from 9:30 to 12:30. They have a hot dog roast lunch afterwards. There will be a flyer at some point, and it's to deal with the cleaning of the garden and taking care of the garden. So 9:30 to 12:30, November 9th. The turkeys will be, the hot dogs will be turkey and vegan. The turkeys will be hoeing the sod. No, I'm kidding. And we have a social justice movie coming up. I'm sorry I don't have that. When is that coming up?
It is, yeah, the first Friday of the month.
The first Friday of the month, thank you. I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me. I thought I was. The first Friday of the month is the social justice movie here and discussion afterwards, and it's always pretty interesting. You get the newsletter. If you don't, you can sign up to get the emailed newsletter. You can get a copy from Gabby in the office so you know what's going on. And of course, at our website, you can always find out what's on the very active agenda. And now for our chalice lighting. This flame, this symbol of Unitarian Universalism, this chalice, we light it to remind us love is at the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen. Love remains the center. And when we allow the light of truth to burn all else away, love is what remains. And now for our opening words.
Thank you, Tracy. That was an amazing welcome. Yeah. I love it. So positive, so welcoming, such beautiful words. So good morning, everybody. I'm Pastor Joshua. Good morning. It's amazing to see everybody here. Fills my heart. Thank you for coming. Members and new visitors, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please join us for lunch, as Tracy said, afterwards. I'm going to use some opening words from the Dalai Lama, who said that analysis of death is not for the sake of becoming fearful, but to appreciate this precious lifetime. Let us worship together this morning, calling up the sacred and the spiritual in the question, why must we talk about death? And with that, please rise as you are able, in body or spirit, for our opening hymn, Bye Bye Blackbird. Yeah, right? And whoa, here I go, singing low, bye, bye, blackbird. Where somebody waits for me, sugar sweet, so is she.
now I would like to introduce Ms. Cara Craig, who's going to share a story for all ages with our children. So children young and young at heart, please come on up on the rug.
Hello, everyone. Oh, it's working? Good. Before I start, if anybody is available to volunteer for childcare next week, I do need 2 people. So come find me after this if you're able to help out with that. Aww. Oh, yes. Everyone needs to see.
She looks very
We have a very cute little mouse up here. A koala, excuse me, yes, cute little koala. Okay, today I'm going to read a story called I Remember Abuelito, a Day of the Dead story by Janice Levi. It's the Day of the Dead. It's time to celebrate. We remember our loved ones who have died. I miss Abuelito. He died a few months ago. Tonight, his spirit will visit. How will Abuelito's spirit come, I ask. His spirit will come as a butterfly, Mama says, quiet and beautiful. What will it be like? You'll see, Mama says. You'll feel him in your heart. It's the Day of the Dead. It's time to celebrate. Mama and I go to the market. There's lots to buy. Bread of the dead, a woman calls out. I choose a piece that's long and wrinkled, like Abuela's fingers. Sugar skulls, calls a man as he squeezes icing on a sugar skull. A skeleton playing soccer reminds me of Abuelito, too. He liked that game. On the way home, I think about when Abuelito and I used to play hide and seek. Sometimes he couldn't find me. What if Abuelito gets lost, I ask. His spirit is like the butterflies, Mama says. They come to our town every year. They don't get lost. Abuelito's spirit knows the way, too. It's the Day of the Dead. It's time to celebrate. Outside our house, Papa, Tia, and I lay a path of marigold petals for Abuelito's spirit to follow. Tia comes to help decorate the altar. Mama and Tia cook Abuelito's favorite foods. I fill a tall glass with atole, Abuelito's favorite drink. This is Abuelito, playing a guitar when he was your age, Tia says. In the photograph, he looks just like you. I think about the songs Abuelito taught me. If he couldn't remember the words, sometimes he made up new ones. What if Abuelito has forgotten us? I ask. What if his spirit forgets to come? Don't worry, Tia says. This candle will glow. The light will remind Abuelito's spirit of his way back home. I look out the window and watch the clouds. One of them looks like Abuelito's mustache. Suddenly, I see a wonderful sight. Mama, Papa, Tia, look, it's the butterflies. Hundreds of black and orange butterflies fly through the sky. Some land in the tree next to our house. The butterflies have found their way, I say. I think that Abuelito's spirit will find his way, too. It's the Day of the Dead. It's time to celebrate. At the cemetery, Papa and I sprinkle marigolds. We wave to other families. I lay some of Abuelito's favorite things on his grave. Abuelito loved bananas, I say. These are the socks I bought him for his birthday. Remember when he blew out his candles? He sneezed 3 times and got frosting on his nose. We laugh and then get quiet. The candles look like stars. Is Abuelito thinking about us too, I ask? Does he feel us in his heart? Tia squeezes my hand. Mama puts her arm around me. We close our eyes. A breeze tickles my cheek like a sneeze. The air smells like bananas. I look down and see a butterfly resting on a petal near my feet. Abuelito, I whisper, is that you? Mama and Tia laugh. They hug me at the same time. At night, Mama tucks me into bed. Sweet dreams, she says. She kisses my cheek. Her eyelashes feel like the wings of a butterfly. The Day of the Dead, it's time to celebrate. I close my eyes and dream of Abuelito. The end.
As we leave this friendly place, we'll sing out the children. Sorry. Take it away, Severin. And now is the time of our service where we can share with everyone, either with words or with the lighting of a candle or with both, what lies in our hearts, both in joy and in concerns. Please come up and let us know what's going on with you.
Testing. I light the final candle for all the joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts and in our minds that remain unspoken. In Unitarian Universalism, often, we pray in different ways than other congregations. And I believe that music is a form of what would be equivalent to prayer. So if I can put you on the spot, Severin and Michael, to do a little improv just while we meditate for a couple minutes, is that okay? And we can meditate to the prayer that is music, holding all our joys and sorrows in our hearts. And slowly we'll come back into the space we are sharing today. Thank you so much. I'm going to read a piece today by someone named Aaron Freeman. I believe I heard it on NPR. It was a piece called "You Want a Physicist to Speak at Your Funeral." You want a physicist to speak at your funeral. You want that physicist to talk to your grieving family about the conservation of energy, so they will understand that your energy has not died. You want the physicist to remind your sobbing mother about the first law of thermodynamics. That no energy gets created in the universe and none is destroyed. You want your mother to know that all of your energy, every vibration, every BTU of heat, every wave of every particle that was her beloved child remains with her in this world. And you want that physicist to tell your weeping father that amid all of the energies of the cosmos, you gave as good as you got. And at one point, you'd hope that that physicist would step down from the pulpit and walk, let me see if I can step down from the pulpit, and walk, there we go, to your broken-hearted spouse there in the pews and tell him that all the photons that ever bounced off your face, all the particles whose paths were interrupted by your smile. Can we turn that one down a little? By the touch of your hair, hundreds of trillions of particles have raced off like children, their way forever changed by you. And as your widow rocks in the arms of a loving family, may that physicist let her know that all of those photons that bounced from you were gathered. They were gathered in the particle detectors that are her eyes. That those photons created within her constellations of electromagnetically charged neurons whose energy will go on forever. Photons created with her. Yeah. And the physicist will remind the entire congregation of how much of all of our energy is given off as heat. There may be a few people fanning themselves. You saw me patting my forehead earlier, fanning themselves with their program as this physicist says this. And he will tell them that the warmth that flowed through you in life is still here, still part of all that we are, even as we who mourn continue the heat of our own lives. And you'll want that physicist to explain to those who loved you that they need not have faith. Indeed, they should not have faith. Let them know that they can actually measure, that scientists have measured precisely the conservation of energy and found it accurate, verifiable, and consistent across space and time. And you can hope that your family will examine the evidence and satisfy themselves that the science is sound and that they will be comforted to know your energy is still around. According to the law of the conservation of energy, not a bit of you is gone. You're just less orderly. Ruin the punchline. Amen. So, there are only three things we can be sure of. Only three things we can be certain about being human that I can think of. The first, of course, is that we live. And the second is that, regardless of how much we try to avoid it, or how much we rightfully loathe thinking about it, every single one of us will also die. And the third thing we can know for sure is that, win or lose, the Dodgers rock. Those are the three things that we can absolutely know for sure. I would say the Yankees suck, but there may be people in New York listening to this, so I'm not sure, including my family. So today I'd like to talk about the second of those certainties. I'd like to talk about death. So death, in Western culture at least, death is hardly ever talked about. And so today, I won't jump right into directly talking about death, but rather I'm going to talk about talking about death. There is a growing movement called death positivity, actually, that promotes the idea that talking about death is not only a good thing, but it is beneficial to mental and emotional and spiritual health. In fact, this idea is not new. It's been a part of other cultural and religious heritages for a long time. Many cultures ritualize deceased ancestors regularly, as you can see on our own patio with the lovely ofrenda made by our preschool families for the Mexican Dia de los Muertos celebration. When I lived in Japan a long time ago, I took part in the annual Obon Festival, which was to visit family grave sites and honor the dead and honor the ancestors. These types of opportunities are regular opportunities to talk about death in a respectful and a loving environment. In Buddhism, there are also very early meditative practices, actually, collectively called Maranasati, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, that focus on mindfulness of death. And the purpose of this meditation on death is specifically, as I said in the call to worship, to deepen appreciation of our mortality in order to decrease death anxiety and enhance enthusiasm for life. In his book, When Breath Becomes Air, the neurosurgeon Paul Kalanithi writes about finding meaning in life after being given a terminal cancer diagnosis. And one of the most salient things he writes is something I feel is incredibly motivational. And it's something that I will use to begin talking about why talking about death is good. So that thing that he said in When Breath Becomes Air is that we are not all going to die. We are all always dying. When I was a hospital chaplain, I regularly heard the phrase, actively dying, referring to someone who has a terminal medical diagnosis. And then the people in the family and all the loved ones, they rally around the patient, searching for meaning and making meaning. And the person themselves, if they have the wherewithal and the mental strength, the patient themselves, they're also searching for some way to live better before they die. And I applaud these beautiful efforts. There's tons of meaning being made. Now, I am not a medical doctor, or any type of doctor for that matter, but I will confidently inform every person here that we all have a terminal diagnosis. We are all always dying. The moment we were born, we received that diagnosis. And no hoping or wishing or praying or cryogenic chambers, to you billionaires out there, can reverse that. At least for now. In considering the idea of immortality, especially on this planet, hopefully not ever. Now, theologically, there are many beliefs about the meaning of death and what may or what may not happen during and after death. This type of theological reflection is called eschatology. And given my own personal theology, eschatology doesn't concern me that much, except in a pastoral care setting, when I work as a chaplain, when it is meaningful to another person, then it does concern me. But because I respect others' beliefs, but as for my own, I am content, and I'm honestly comforted to know, to think about the fact, to remember, or not remember, that there was a peaceful nothingness before I was born. And there will be that same peaceful nothingness, in my opinion, after I die. It's comforting to me. What I must then be concerned with is what I spoke about family and friends recognizing at the hospital bed of an imminently dying relative. I must concern about the fact that it matters how we live our life knowing that we will die, knowing that we will absolutely die. So the ologies that do matter to me are ontology, the meaning we give our life and our relationships. Epistemology, the nature of and the limits of what is knowable. Enology, the study of wine. That's a big one for me. And the one that I concern myself with most as a minister, which I'm going to dig a little bit down into a little bit today, and that is soteriology. The idea, bless you, Gesundheit. Gesundheit. No problem. Soteriology is the idea of salvation. And you may be wondering why a minister who says they eschew dogmatic religion for themselves is concerned with the doctrine of salvation. Well, let me explain what I mean by salvation. The minister Thomas Starr King said this, and you may have heard this before, that universalists believe that God is too good to damn man, while Unitarians believe that man is too good to be damned by God. Either way, in other words, everyone can or will be saved, depending on your theological perspective. Bless you. Something catchy. So, the name universalism itself is referring specifically to this idea of universal salvation, and originally universal salvation by God. This message of universal salvation, that all can be saved, this message of universal love, as I see it, has been preached in some form from the time of John Murray, who was the founder of the first American Universalist Church at the end of the 19th century in Massachusetts, all the way to the present day. Universal love. It's at the center of our values. This message, however, has been transformed. We UUs like to grow and transform. And as UU theology evolved away from Christianity and a Christ-centered message, and some UUs still have a close faith, a Christian faith, which is we are deferential to as well as we are all faiths. But as general UU theology moved away from this Christ-centered message of salvation from sin into what is more its present form of what we understand as both an interreligious and a more secular message of universal liberation through love, rather than using the word salvation. As a faith, we no longer assert that there is a divine Savior other than each other. So for me, salvation is just that. It is liberation of spirit through love. We all can be saved. I do still believe there is a very clear and strong commitment to be made to receive that salvation. It's not to accept any Lord or Savior, unless that is your inclination. Gesundheit. Wow. It is not to follow any set of commandments given cryptically by a singular God for us to interpret, unless that is your orientation. It is rather a set of values currently represented by the image in our own UU bylaws with love at the center. It's on the back of your program, of justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity, which I just learned for the kids is represented as JET-PIG. Justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. I'll never forget it. In addition, it is a requirement for this universal liberation through love to always be in the process of evolving those commitments and all of our commitments as we grow in our understanding of ethical living. So now this circles back to why we would consider talking about death. I'm talking about life, why we talk about death. Well, keeping that idea, the idea that we will all die in our consciousness, regularly in our consciousness, is a strong incentive to do this hard work that leads us to liberation through love, which, as I said earlier, benefits our mental, emotional, and spiritual health. It is a motivator when we're stuck and unmotivated to do this work. Talking about death, yes, can be difficult, but only by doing so will we become more comfortable with it, with something that we will definitely at some point need to talk about. It's not like we won't ever need to talk about it. But if we avoid talking about the inevitable, when we are eventually and regularly confronted with it, there is significantly more anguish and pain. The last thing I would imagine a dying person wants or needs is to be with a family who is agonizing over the logistics of death and burial as they are dying. The dying person themselves certainly needn't be considering those logistics themselves as they lose their capacities. Further, some of the most anxiety-producing thoughts are those that deal with the questioning of theological, of eschatological, and soteriological unknowns. These are anxiety-producing. Is God punishing me? How can I repent and be saved? Where will I go when I die? And these are legitimate questions for many people. But whatever you believe or you don't believe, if you discuss your beliefs, if you talk about death regularly over time, you avoid this thunderbolt of worry produced by unanswered questions at the end of life. Or at least ideally you would. Because I want to also recognize and validate how difficult the prospect of talking about death is, especially when someone has experienced a sudden or a significantly traumatizing loss, along with the accompanying trauma that continues to live in the body and in the mind and in the heart. It can be very painful and difficult. So today, in proposing health benefits from talking about death, I am by no means encouraging anyone to do so if they are not able or ready or feel they will ever be able. Even though talking about death can be cathartic and it can be healing and healthy, it is not the only way to increase those benefits. And as with any treatment, any medicine you take, the benefits must outweigh the costs, which is not always the case. And timing as well, timing is also a factor. So if you are actively going through a trauma related to death, talking about it, it might be helpful, especially with a trained guide in a safe place, but it also can be harmful, especially if done in an unsafe way. So, when we talk about death, it's important to do it mindfully. A safe place where one feels in control is essential, as I said. Margie Kerr, a sociologist who studies fear, actually, says that the difference between trauma and resilience is preserved agency. In other words, when people know that they are in control of the experience or feel they are in control of the experience, then they can reap the rewards of enduring through it. When that control is taken away, it can turn into real trauma. So we'll be careful going forward talking about death. And those are the reasons I am not talking about death directly today, but rather I am talking about death, or something like that. To go more in depth into death, to go more in depth into death, I suggest the following opportunities as you feel comfortable and prepared. First, please look into the books and videos of Caitlin Doughty, Doughty. She's a mortician, been working for over a decade, maybe 2 decades here in LA, and she's a death activist. And she is involved with the death positive movement. In fact, one of her tweets it was that coined that phrase, death positivity, Caitlin Doughty. And she has an organization called the Order of the Good Death. And the Order of the Good Death lobbies for the reform of what Caitlin Doughty refers to as the death industrial complex that commodifies dying. And she'll explain more about that in her videos. Second, if you are inclined more secularly, there is a great book that is a quick and very accessible read called Comforting Thoughts About Death That Have Nothing to Do with God by Greta Christina. And thirdly, PUC, right here at our congregation, is going to connect with a national organization called Death Cafes. And they hold death cafes in order to, we're going to connect in order to hold our own right here. They hold them across the nation. The first one should happen either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, and we'll hopefully continue to hold them on a regular basis. If you'd like to be involved, feel free to reach out to me. According to the Death Cafe website, at a death cafe, this makes it sound really good, at a death cafe, people, often strangers, gather to eat cake, drink tea, and discuss death. In conjunction with this, I'm also looking to bring a mortician to PUC to speak about specifics about end-of-life planning logistics, and specifically alternative and green burials as well. It is now legal in many states, including California, to compost yourself, which is a great idea for me. I will also be, I don't even know what that meant. I'm thinking of how my wife would respond to that. I don't know. I will also be organizing myself, I'll be organizing a Plan Your Own Memorial Workshop. I did this at my intern congregation, so I have a whole booklet about it sometime in the future. So keep an eye out for all those things in our e-newsletter or reach out to me directly. So to consider that, hold on, we are not all going to die, but instead that we are all always dying. What that means is we all are right now living at the figurative deathbed of each other. But rather than being in a hospital or hospice with a literal clock tracking the hours that we have left, we have time to search for how to make meaning aside each other as we are dying. And this early consideration of our own mortality, by recognizing that we are all actively dying in every moment, enables us to realize that what matters most is not the petty arguments, attachment to possessions, or the planning of details, or anything else that we're always fretting over moment to moment. Even if, goodness forbid, the Dodgers were to lose, that wouldn't be the most important thing in the world. They're talking about death centers our hearts and our minds much more clearly and immediately on the understanding that the only thing that really matters is how we live our finite lives in each moment in relation to each other. Amen.
I was, among many other things, noting that the microphones, the moving of things, the things back here, we've got some new equipment. Kelly does an amazing job of making sure all that is working. And I don't know how you do it. It's a complete mystery to me. So we forget to say thank you. It's not just Kelly that provides the foundation for so many of the things we do in here. It's our staff. Severin gets enough love, so we'll forget about him. But we have Jose. He's like Cher. One word says it all. We're all like, Jose. Gabby. Cara. Am I forgetting anybody? If I've forgotten somebody, I will get you next week. You tell me, and I am sorry. But they are the foundation of what it is we do here. They are the place upon which we build our home in this community. And it is the generous gifts of time, talent, and funds that helps this community continue to build upon that very strong foundation that Kelly, Cara, Gabby, Jose, Severin, and the rest of us sit upon. So please give generously as you are able, and remember, because of today's topic, you can't take it with you.
No bad news.
Thank you all for coming, first of all. I really enjoyed the message, and thank you. It was very intellectual. Of course, I want to do this next number and Severin thought it might be a great idea. It's called No Bad News, but it's from The Wiz, so it is a showpiece, okay? So that's what we're getting ready to do, and I hope that you enjoy it. Well, when I wake up in the afternoon, which pleases me to do, don't nobody bring me no bad news. 'Cause I wake up already negative and I wired up my fuse. Don't nobody bring me no bad news. Well, if you want to be buddies, you better bone up to the rules. Don't nobody bring me no bad news. We can be the best of friends as opposed to paying dues. Don't nobody bring me no bad news. No bad news. Don't nobody bring me no bad news. Wake up already negative, wired up my fuse. Don't nobody bring me no bad news. Well, when you're talking to me, you better bone up on the news. Don't nobody bring me no bad news. Verbalize, vocalize, just bring me the clues. Don't nobody bring me no bad news. Oh, no bad news. No bad news. Don't nobody bring me no bad news. Wake up fast with a negative, and I wired up my fuse. Don't nobody bring me no bad news.
The good news today is Linda Alvarez on vocals. Woo! And I do want to also thank another employee, Allison, as well, who does a lot of important work for this congregation. And I want to thank, aside from our staff, our amazing volunteers who do a ton of work for this congregation. So thank you all very much. And now we're going to follow Linda singing by singing ourselves. We have a beautiful congregational voice, and please rise in body or spirit as you are able for our closing hymn, number 96, I Cannot Think of Them as Dead.
If you would like to join hands, please do. If you'd prefer not to, you can do something else. This church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences, beneath all our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in space, in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We pause in silent witness to that unity.
May the blessing of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts, now and forever. So be it. Amen. Shalom, salam, namaste, and blessed be. And now our service truly begins. Thank you. Please stick around for a moment for our postlude. I wish that I could come back as a flower, which is actually composed by Sarita Wright, who is Stevie Wonder's wife. And then join us for lunch.
The nicest thing came to me this morning as I awoke to greet the coming dawn. The sun was softly shining in the garden. I felt the love was everywhere. And I wish that I could come back as a flower, as a flower, as a flower. Yes, I wish that I could come back as a flower to spread the sweetness of love, to spread the sweetness of love. The dew was softly making love to many. The sun was shining out beyond the dawn. A rainbow kissed the meadow beyond the flowers. I felt the love all around. And I wish that I could come back as a flower, as a flower, as a flower. I wish that I could come back as a flower, as a flower, to spread the sweetness of love, to spread this wish that I could come back as a flower, as a flower, as a flower. I wish that I could come back as a flower, as a flower, as a flower. Oh, you're so welcome.